IndyCar drivers attend the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona pretty frequently. However, I have not seen as many drivers interested in attending the race as I have this year. So sit down, relax, grab a cup of your country's proudest beverage, or their least proud one, it doesn't matter, because today I'm going to be discussing the involvement of IndyCar drivers within the Daytona 24 Hours. This year's IMSA season opener is set to include 15 IndyCar drivers, who will participate in this weekend's test at Daytona International Speedway, and return for the race from January the 25th to January the 28th. If nothing changes, over 50% of full-time IndyCar drivers will take part in the race across the 4 WeatherTech Sports Car Championship classes. The team with the densest population of IndyCar drivers is Andretti Global. 2 of those drivers, Marcus Ericsson in the number 10 Acura ARX06 Hybrid and Colton Herta in the number 40 WTR8 Acura, are racing with the home team, whilst Carl Kirkwood will race in the number 14 Lexus RCF GT3, due to a long-standing relationship with Lexus. Kirkwood stated, "It's cool, no doubt about that. I think drivers are realizing that there's a benefit to doing the 24, which is getting easier, because I feel like some teams might have been skeptical years ago about letting their drivers go out and drive other cars, but now IndyCar teams are actually pushing for it. Like at Andretti, they said, hey, we want you doing the 24. We want you in a car. Doesn't matter what car you're in. We want you driving. We want you active." And a lot more drivers and teams are now on that mindset. I think everyone in the field would do it if they had the opportunity. Chip Ganassi sees 3 of its 5 IndyCar drivers taking part in the Rolex 24, led by Scott Dixon and Alex Palou in the number 1 Cadillac Racing V-Series R Hybrid, with Kiffin Simpson, who is yet to make his IndyCar debut, piloting the number 81 Dragon Speed Oreca 07 Gibson LMP2. Maya Shank Racing will be represented by Tom Blomqvist, who won the 2022 IMSA DPI Championship. He will be joining the defending GTP champions at Action Express Racing in the number 31, with Felix Rosenqvist in the number 22 Oreca 07 Gibson LMP2. Most of the Arrow McLaren team will also take part, with Alexander Rossi in the number 9 McLaren 720S GT3 in GTD Pro. Pato O'Ward, who has previously been Rolex 24 class winner, is chasing another fancy watch, this time with the number 2 Oreca 07 Gibson LMP2. O'Ward and former McLaren teammate Rosenqvist will both be driving for the UA USA team, which is co-owned by McLaren Racing CEO Zach Brown. With Rossi also in the McLaren-affiliated team, it's safe to say that McLaren's presence is certainly growing across the pond. McLaughlin and Newgarden teamed up within Tower's LMP2 lineup last year, and Newgarden will race for Porsche Penske in the number 7 Porsche 963. McLaughlin will however remain at Tower. Given McLaughlin's phenomenal pace in LMP2 last season, where he won the 12 Hours of Sebring, it's bizarre to me that he hasn't been considered for Penske Porsche's GTP team. The remaining drivers are riding solo, including Romain Grosjean from Juncos Hollinger Racing, who is a part of Iron Lynx, with the number 60 Lamborghini Huracan GT3 in the GTD category. 2023 Indy NXT champion Christian Rasmussen is driving the number 18 Era Motorsport Oreca 07 Gibson LMP2, who is also due to make his IndyCar debut for Ed Carpenter Racing in March. Devlin DiFrancesco is attending the event with Forte Racing in the number 78 Lamborghini Huracan GT3. The only coverage of this car, however, is most likely to be an impact with a wall. Kirkwood compares the Rolex 24 Hours to a preseason game, where he and the other IndyCar drivers can get back into the swing of racing and make it easier to readapt to their IndyCars at the season opener in St. Petersburg. He stated that, "You come in feeling rusty, and everyone's on par with you, and everyone's saying the same things. Because when you're out of the car for so long, you're like, man, am I going to show up? Am I going to suck? What's it going to be like when I get back in the car? Am I going to be rusty?" Daytona is a good one to knock the rust off, and it's really confidence boosting before the start of the IndyCar season. As one of the promising IndyCar talents competing in the slower GT classes, many may assume that Kirkwood's Rolex 24 will be less important than what his rivals get to experience. Despite this, Kirkwood believes that GT is going to see the fiercest competition, stating, "Have you looked at the GT field? You're like, man, this is the toughest field out of all the categories. It's the biggest class, it's the closest racing. There's more wheel-to-wheel banging in GTs with all world-class fast drivers. Honestly, I wouldn't want to be in any other category. I love GT racing. GT racing fans are finding themselves more excited than ever for this year's Rolex 24 Hours, further exaggerated by Kirkwood's promising comments. He goes on to say, "This is a big year for GT racing, with all the new updates, with the addition of Ford with their new Mustang. It's a rocket ship in a straight line, so they're going to be hard to beat. There's the switch up with FAF and McLaren. There's so many aspects to consider, and we know we're going to have to keep stepping up our game at Vassar Sullivan. They've done a phenomenal job. They have this mindset to just keep going for it. They want to win another championship. The day after we won the championship, they're like, what do we need to do to win another? It was already about what's next, and not what we just done, and we're all on board with that." Kirkwood's enthusiasm reflects how excited many of the drivers and fans are for this upcoming race, compounded by how tough this off-season has been on everyone. "I'm excited to see everyone back out on track and competing, except from Devlin DeFrancesco. If Devlin performs in the Rolex 24, however, he could find himself sitting pretty with a Dale Coyne IndyCar seat for 2024, so we'll have to see how that one goes. And guys, if that happens, I can confirm I will be making a long-anticipated video on Devlin DeFrancesco. After such a depressing off-season, it's fantastic to see all of these drivers so enthusiastic about racing again. It's going to be great to see which drivers can perform over the next few weeks ahead of the start of the IndyCar season. I feel like we've all been slightly deprived of racing over the winter, and we're certainly due some good action very soon. I mean, heck, it brought me out of the shadow realm I've been stuck in for 2 years with no uploads. I have such a good feeling about this year in a motorsport sense. I'm back full time, and I'm going to have so much to cover in the way of IndyCar. Let me know down below if you want to see me cover more as well. It's tough for me to cover the IMSA Championship since races are near impossible to watch here in the UK, but I can always give it a go if that's what you all want to see. Before I depart you today, I'd also like to mention that my new single Treachery has released. I spent months on this track and would appreciate it a bunch if you could check it out. I genuinely worked really hard on this song. I'll play you a bit of a snippet now. It might not be your taste, but I hope you enjoy it nonetheless. It's on all of the big streaming services under the name Dylan Goodrick, which is my actual name, despite the common misconception that my name is actually Dylan James. Aside from all that, thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please remember to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all in the next one. But until then, take care and have a good week.